I'm thinking from the perspective of a lazy, okay, let's not put lazy, let's say busy investor, right? So if they don't want to keep up with all these kind of news of like what Facebook is doing, what Twitter is doing, what Google is doing, can I say that it's better for them to just put in the S&P?
I think that's a fair call. Well, S&P is just one of the index. When you want to go passive investing route, you want lower risk. But you're okay to live with lower reward. So when you want to go to that low risk, low reward, you diversify your holdings. It can be holding S&P 500 alone. You can also mix with bond ETFs, or you can also mix with all world indexes, or you can also mix with tech indexes for a little bit of exposure towards tech. And that is usually the so-called foolproof kind of investing. Like every month you just throw money in, don't even look at it. Then hopefully and technically you should get around 6 to 8% per year.
So what type of traction should the founders sort of like see before they start to like raise funds and also pitch? Because I'm sure that starting from zero is very hard to like raise funds, right? So like what type of traction do they need to like demonstrate before they even start to like pitch the investors?
If you're raising funds, how much traction? It really depends on your business and what you need for your business to grow. So I wouldn't recommend you trying to raise funds if you're doing it for cash flow or to stay alive. The reasons VCs will want to invest in you is because you're raising capital to grow. And you need more capital than you could probably muster up yourself to grow or from your balance sheet to grow. Instead, what you're looking for is you're looking for capital to start a new market or do a product extension or execute on a commercial contract, and you need the capital to do so. These are things that really will make it very interesting for an investor to come in, because we see, hey, you know what, you need this help to get you further, but you've already done like 80% of the work. The capital just takes you over the line. And that's the kind of thing that most VCs will look for.
So let's begin with like what are some strategies business can use to grow on TikTok, and also like what type of content that you see is currently working well on TikTok in 2023?
I think in short, creating content, short form content, videos specifically, that provide value, as much value as possible within a short amount of time for your audience is probably the best strategy. So how you do that is entirely up to you, whether you're doing entertainment or education or edutainment, right? A mix of two. The essence of it is really providing value for your clients or audience in general. So yeah, I think in short, that's kind of a summary of what videos do well and kind of how you leverage on trends to do that.
So what are some common financial mistakes that you see entrepreneurs make?
I think one of the most common mistakes is extrapolating your income and your revenue in a way that's too bullish. And then as a result, you misplan your expenses. And then you might face a downfall of, let's say, 50% one day because of some exogenous variable. COVID shuts down your business, whatever, and then you're screwed. So I think careful planning is a must. You have to have base case, bear case, and bull case scenario, and you need to plan your expenses accordingly.
I mean, because entrepreneurs is like, you always thought like you need to like work like 24 hours a day. You need to like work very late and then wake up early. Like, yeah, that's like not the recommended way, right? Because then you tend to fall into depression easier because you have lack of sleep.
Okay. Exactly. Now, if you think about it, let's draw parallels, because there are indeed parallels between mental fitness and resilience and physical strength and fitness. Now, if you're a professional athlete, right, you make money from your physical performance. All of them know that they need to achieve peak performance at certain points of competition, and then they've got to be able to rest and recover. Same thing with founders and business leaders. There are times when we run our business when we need to be at our peak performance, when we're pitching to investors, when we're rallying our teams, when we're trying to close a deal with business partners. But you cannot be at 100% level 24/7. If you do that, you become mentally fatigued and drained. And you don't know it, but then it'll take you 4 hours to get a task done that will only take you 1 hour if your mind is clear, you're rested, and your ability to focus and concentrate. So taking breaks, whether it's micro breaks like 2 minutes every 30 minutes, to 1 day every week, to 3-4 days every month, to 2 weeks every year, allows the brain and the body to reset, and you bounce back stronger. So you need periods of rest and recharge.
Which platform would you recommend for companies to maximize their branding and also get their message across, especially when they have, like, say, minimal funding or cash?
I would say the key is to get the clarity, which involve knowing where your ideal customer are either passively or actively seeking the solutions you provide. And then when you know that, that's where your strongest channel are. There's no fixed channels that everyone else should jump on. It's more like, where are your customers active or passively looking for the solution?
So can they go through this 36 months solo, or do they need like a co-founder?
Okay, so I started my first venture, or rather my second venture, as a solo co-founder. But I don't advise that people do that. I always say that try and assemble a team. Why? Because if you only have 36 months to make or break something, you need to be able to do 5 things very, very well. We need to be able to design, we need to be able to grow, to build, to sell, and to operate. Now, what's the likelihood that one guy or one girl can do all that? It is possible, depending on how simple the business is, but usually not for long. I tell founders who really want to go at it alone, try and find a team of people who can work with you. Now, the important thing about it is, don't find your best friends, because you may lose your friend. Find somebody with complementary skills and you can work with.
Advice for founders out there: you need to demonstrate that you are the person that is going to be able to win, because building a startup is hard. And so a large part of the decision to invest in an early stage startup comes down to, are these the people? Is their founder market fit?
If you have one advice for business owners, what would it be?
Think of it in this way. Business is essentially only about 2 things. That's it, just 2 things. And if you can get this right, you've got everything right. So all of business comes down to these 2 things. And what are these 2 things? And that's capture and keep customers. Everything you do in business is about capturing customers and keeping those customers coming back again and again and again. So that's really what it's all about. So whatever you do, for example, why are you doing marketing and sales? To capture and keep customers. Why do you hire staff? To capture and keep customers. What you want to be very, very good at when you run a business is to be very good at capturing and keeping your customers. That's essentially it.
What are some opportunities currently in Malaysia that an aspiring entrepreneur should look into?
There's so many opportunities in Malaysia, actually. One of the things that the new Prime Minister said when he came into power was that he was looking at solving the cost of living crisis. And so if I'm an entrepreneur, I'd be looking for ways to do that, right? How can I solve the cost of living crisis, and what are the problem sets that I understand as an individual or as a group of founders, right? And how can I build something to solve that? So if I'm an entrepreneur, that's what I'd be doing right now. I'll be looking for problems, because entrepreneurs should be happy when there's a problem, because it means they can solve it and they can potentially monetize the solution. And that's how a great startup is built. The problems are everywhere. Just look for those problems and you'll actually be able to find great startup ideas that you can build on.
There's this entrepreneur dilemma on whether to reinvest profits back into the business or cash out the profits and add on to their savings so that their net worth get higher. So what are your thoughts on how do you balance this?
I think everything is based off your expected returns. So if you expect a higher return based on reinvesting in your business, then you should naturally reinvest more in your business. But your expectations and your calculations could be wrong. So which is why I do like diversifying into real assets, cashing out, and then buying something real. Because if your business goes down or falls, at least you still have that real asset to enjoy. I think the business owner knows his or her business the best. The return on investment in a business can be huge when you see the right product market fit, the right momentum.
So I guess the best rule is like just know yourself of what is your business potential, and also like what's your risk appetite.
You got to calculate your expected return on investment. Like customer acquisition costs can be good. It'll generally be pretty good for a bit, and then It's like an arbitrage away, and then like the returns get lower and lower and lower. So you got to always keep on experimenting. But you've also, yeah, you got to understand how much is enough for you.
You want to make sure that your business is running on systems. And here's a nice way to think about it. Systems run the business, people work the systems. Systems run the business, people work the systems. So not the other way around. Your business should be run by systems. Think McDonald's again. Systems running your business, and people are working those systems. And I have what I call the 3 Ps for systemizing: planning, policies, and procedures. So you want to plan this all out. You want to create policies for how things should be done and procedures for how they should be done, SOPs. Now, what are all the different SOPs you have that? So systems are very, very powerful. When you have systems in place, many areas of the business will run on autopilot. And then, you can just really push it. You can really push things. So what is your ordering system? What is your customer fulfillment system? What are all the different systems? Collection, payment, all these things in there. You want to start to work it all out. What are the 10 systems I need to create? Make a list. Make a list of all the systems I need to create in my business. What's urgent right now? And, sit down and just really work hard on it.
I think the other thing that's also important as founders is for us as leaders to take care of our teams. And here I want to introduce another acronym, CARE, C-A-R-E. C for checking for signs or symptoms, right? The 6 symptoms we talked about earlier, look out for it with your team members, because they're not going to come to you and say, boss, I'm really, I've not been sleeping, I'm not eating healthily, I'm really disengaged. But you can spot the signs, watch for those, right? A is actively listen. Sometimes as founders, we're quick to want to just solve the problem. Oh, you got that problem? Here, go do this, fix the problem. Actually, it's not about fixing the problem, but just to actively listen. Sounds like you're going through that. And affirmation, meaning I can understand why you're feeling that way, without judgment and without necessarily trying to fix it. R is to reassure that support is available. What can I do as your team leader to support you? And then E, ensure that that support is taken up, because 80% of the time in our circles, people will say, yeah, okay, I'll improve my sleep, but they don't do anything about it. So our job is to follow through. Just like we want to make sure our marketing team doesn't just stop at a marketing plan, but actually executes the strategy, right? Our operations team does the same. Same thing with our employees' health. Will they actually follow through and work on improving their health? And I think that's an important role, because if we can role model to our employees that we think health is a competitive advantage, we're more energetic when we take care of ourselves, and that means better business performance, our team members will live it, right? But if we don't role model it, they think, it's not acceptable to take a day off, for example, right?